Last episode, we ended season 2, a very successful year for me. I was very happy with how everything went. You know, the shorts, social media, and just being able to move up with subscribers. I'm very thankful for the growth, and I'm thankful for you guys watching my episodes and watching my shorts and just helping to continue growing in confidence with this. We are opening up season 3 today with episode 1, where we're looking over every single NFL team, grading them based on A+, A, B, C, D, and F. We're giving them letter grades, all in tier list form, with our last being talking about the Super Bowl champions. So I hope you guys are excited for the ride. I'm going to let you in on a little fact. This is the second time I'm recording this because recently my OBS has not been able to pick up my microphone and has not locked it in place, despite the fact that I've made so many changes to the microphone and have tried to set them all in motion. So I'm going to have to do this. Hopefully you guys can hear me, because not going to lie, I'm a little fired up and pretty angry about it because I had a pretty good episode that now I have to do all over again, which sucks. Because of this, I'm not completely sure when you're going to see this, hopefully Friday, but there's a good chance it might be Saturday where you see episode 1, despite the fact all my YouTube shorts say otherwise. So I hope you guys are ready for the ride. We're going to be grading every single team this year, performance-wise, expectations, and what I think about their offseason, what they need to do. So I hope you guys are excited and ready to go. Go follow me on all my social medias, and obviously I added some new ones you'll see on the YouTube shorts. But without further ado, let's get started. All right, so we're in the tier list. Obviously, we have A+, A, B, C, D, and F tier. All these teams are going to fall under some kind of category depending on how their performance was. And a lot of it is compared to kind of the expectation of what I thought throughout the year, their performance overall. So without further ado, let's get started with the former Super Bowl contenders of last year, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers went, 6-11? After going to the Super Bowl last year, having one of the most dominant teams possible. But a lot of it is due to injury. Obviously, McCaffrey wasn't there for the majority of the year. Brandon Ayuk went out for the season early on, and the defense did not perform the way it needed to. They blew a lot of games they should have won. This team is a D-tier team. Brock Purdy is in this place, and you can call it the criticism. It's fair, it's just, but he needs to step up when a lot of his players are down, and a lot of times he's not doing that, and that's problematic. He doesn't play well without a lot of his big pieces, and there's going to be a lot of question marks in this offseason. Obviously, you're moving on from Deebo Samuel because he wants to go and he's willing to trade or be traded, and this team is going to lose a lot of its core. So I don't know what you do to combat that, but it really seems like there's not a big future with the 49ers if they can't get together, because a lot of it's just self-inflicted wounds that they need to get over. And if they can't, well, then their Super Bowl window is basically on the closing stages. Next up, we have the Bears, and the Bears easily are an F-tier team. I mean, you started off 4-2, then you get crushed by Washington, but then you lose to Washington on a Hail Mary, which was just the beginning of a spiraling downfall in which you lost basically every single game except for one. This team needs a lot to happen. You just got Ben Johnson, so that's a good start. Caleb Williams could be the future. You need to you don't need to give him more weapons. You have the weapons for him, but there has to be better coaching in place. If you're not going to have better coaching, then this team is good as nothing, and F tier is where it belongs for now. Next up, you have the Bengals. Talk about a team that just, for some reason, shoots itself in the foot as often as it wants. The Bengals have the talent. I know they lost Joe Mixon in the offseason, but they have the talent. Joe Burrow is still their quarterback. They got Joe Burrow back this year, and he played great. The offense did really well, but this team, for some reason, just cannot get out of its own way and start good, start fresh, start well. They always have terrible beginnings. The loss to the Patriots, to the Chiefs, and the Washington Commanders. That is something that Bengals fans are just getting sick of. Cincinnati needs to start off hotter and better, and they haven't done that. They're C tier because they almost made the playoffs. They had a positive record at 9-8. They're still pretty dominant overall, but this team needs to stop starting slow. It needs to get to it. The season starts immediately for them. No more wasting time. Get things done, and they'll probably have a better year, maybe even have a chance at reaching the Super Bowl again. So yeah, that's how I feel about Cincinnati, because they're the only team to make the Super Bowl in like the last 5 years. Other than that, it's the Chiefs every single time. So yeah, the Bengals, they need to get to it. No more wasting time. Next up, you have the Buffalo Bills. I thought that the Bills this year were going to do bad because you lost a lot in the offseason. But then Josh Allen goes on a tirade and has one of the best seasons I think we've seen in a long while. He won MVP, so clearly he was just unbelievable. Their offense was just explosive overall. Like all stories, they lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs like they always do, and now you're seeing there's a lot of frustration overall. This team is better than what they give. This team should be going to the Super Bowl. The fact they haven't been since Josh Allen has been the quarterback is kind of depressing. The Bills, they still have a lot of, they have a lot of promise to the future. They're going to need to find out some way to get by Patrick Mahomes. That's their kryptonite. And if they can't do that, this team is good as nothing. Next up, you have the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos overall, they have a really bright future. What needs to happen for the Broncos is that they have to tackle this offseason, get as many weapons, get as much around you as possible. You have a pretty promising defense, so keep working on that. But get Bo Nix something. Get him some weapons. Get him something. Please, you have to. Courtland Sutton's not going to be the only guy to do it. I think that the running back room is okay. It could use some work. I believe you need to give Bo Nix as much as possible. If you can't do that, then you're in trouble. You're not going to be able to go anywhere, especially with the Chiefs in your division. It's going to be really hard for you to stand out if Bo Nix is not given anything to work with, unlike what he should. Courtland Sutton's great. You can keep him. Go ahead. But get more. You just got to keep working on the offseason. If they have a pretty lackluster offseason, then I think they're wasting Bo Nix's potential. But overall, they went 10-7. They made the playoffs for the first time since winning the Super Bowl back in 2016. This team has a lot of promise, and it should be using it. I believe that the Broncos do have a great future, and Sean Payton is a really good head coach. We'll see how everything goes for them, but for now, they're at C tier. I should actually put them above the Bengals, which I will, because even though they lost to the Bengals, they made the playoffs, so that helps. Next up, you have the Cleveland Browns. The Browns it's just one miserable cycle after another. You gave Deshaun Watson, who had a lot of allegations, a lot of drama around him, a lot of money, and made him your future. You stuck to him like he was the future, and just the truth of the matter is he is not it. You're moving on from Deshaun Watson. You're going to bring in Jameis Winston. You're going to have to make some big changes. Obviously, you have the draft ahead of you. You can put in some talent. Right now, it seems like the likely answer is Travis Hunter for them, but we'll see as we get closer and closer to the draft night if that is really what's going to happen. But the Browns, I'd say move forward with Jameis Winston and work on building some pieces around him. They are for sure an F-tier team. I'm pretty sure they're going to be the second pick in the draft. They are just it ain't it. They're not. This team should have done a lot better. They made the playoffs the year prior. They ended up just crashing out. Next up, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is interesting. They had a first-round exit, but they were a really good team. A lot of problems came from injury. They lost Mike Evans for a few weeks. Chris Godwin was out for a lot of the year. This team, when fully healthy, can actually be very dangerous. I believe Baker Mayfield is a great quarterback for them, and if they can just stay healthy, I believe this team can actually go a lot further than what they have the last 2 years. They're definitely B tier. I mean, this team, they're always threatening to every single team they play when they're fully healthy, of course. And so I believe they are a great threat in the NFC. I think that if they can continue to work on the defense, I think the defense needs to have some work on it because they've lost a few pieces over the years. I think your offense is fine for the most part. Bucky Irving was actually a really good running back for them. I think they're going to continue with that. There's a lot of promise for Tampa Bay. Let's just see how the offseason plays out for them. Next up, you have the Arizona Cardinals. They made a big improvement this year. They stepped up. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a pretty good wide receiver for them. Their team is good. They have a lot of promise, but And Kyler Murray, he might have secured his job, but we're going to have to see how things go for the second year with Marvin Harrison and this new coaching staff, obviously. I think that the Cardinals are on the cusp of potentially making the playoffs in the next few years, but they're going to have to make some big adjustments because I wasn't impressed with the running game. I think James Conner is a good running back, but a lot more I felt could have been done there. Their defense has a lot of holes that they need to fix. It's just Budda Baker, and to me, nobody else really stands out. So yeah, you're going to have to put them in. You're going to have to... So yeah, you're going to have to work on fixing the defense and potentially getting Kyler more weaponry to work with. Because right now, he doesn't have a lot, despite the immense amount of talent he has. So he's going to stay there probably. I don't think they're going with quarterback. You were close. You were 8-9, but you missed out in the playoffs just by 2 games. So the Cardinals, C tier, low end of it. But yeah, this team does have major amounts of promise. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers this year, they took a big step forward because I felt that Justin Herbert, despite the talent, was not doing well under Coach Staley. I think that Jim Harbaugh really brought in a new culture. The defense is a lot better. And despite the fact that Herbert didn't have a lot of weapons, their offense was doing pretty well this year for the most part. Let me tell you what needs to happen, though. You better get him some more weapons because I do not like the fact that Herbert didn't really have a significant number 1 wide receiver. And he had one for a while with Keenan Allen. They had a good wide receiver core and you blew it all up. I think that this year you're going to have to work on that, maybe even give him some better protection and just continue to work and improving the offense and the defense. I think the defense is in a better spot right now. You're probably going to lose some pieces though, so you're going to have to get better there. The Chargers, despite the fact they got blown out by the Texans, will be a B tier mention because the Chargers, they lay a good threat to the Kansas City Chiefs. They just need to continue to give Herbert more weaponry and improve on his game. I think they have the right coach for the job. More steps need to be taken though. Next up, you have the Kansas City Chiefs, and this one's simple. The Chiefs are an A-tier team. Despite not having a really good team this year, they did make the Super Bowl. This is not the best Chiefs team we've seen in a while. They definitely got lucky on many occasions, especially with the referees. They had a crazy block kicked against it. It felt like a movie script, and it felt weird for the most part. But the future is in limbo. Obviously, there's a lot of moves that need to be made. I think the wide receiver core is fine. I don't think you need to touch that. The offensive line you're going to need to work on. The tight end position is something you're going to have to start taking a look at because we don't know how long Kelsey has left before he calls it quits. It might even be this offseason that he does it, so who knows. I believe that the Chiefs, though, they're still a big threat. Patrick Mahomes is obviously going to be the biggest threat in the AFC until somebody can unseat him, which hasn't happened since Joe Burrow a couple years ago. But the Chiefs, still at A, still number 1 in the AFC, still made the Super Bowl despite getting absolutely blitzkrieged by Philadelphia, especially defensively. They could not handle the Eagles. Next up, you have the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts this year are weird. Yes, they were close to 500. They didn't hit 500 necessarily, but Anthony Richardson is starting to be very, very problematic there. I didn't like the game against the Texans in which he basically quit. The Colts have so much promise. Jonathan Taylor's a great running back. I don't know how long he's going to stay there. But they need to work on the receiving core for Anthony Richardson because he has an arm. He can gun it. He can be a threat when he needs to, but he hasn't been that this year. The Colts defensively, maybe work on it on the defense just a little bit. I'm going to say they're in limbo. I'll put them over the Cardinals. Why not? But the Colts, it's not like the AFC South is just solely run by the Texans. Somebody can get in there and disrupt the Texans' dominance because that's what it looks like is going to happen. But the Colts are going to have to make some moves this offseason to really combat the Texans and what they were able to do. Because the 2 games they played against Houston, they were close games. It's not like they got blown out. They're right there with the Texans, but they just need to work on some things. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders. This team shocked the world because Washington, they made it to the NFC Championship game for the first time in a long while. They haven't even won a playoff game since, 2005? And then they beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. They go on the road to Detroit and dominate. And then they get destroyed by Philadelphia. But Jaden Daniels has been unbelievable this year. What a season he's had. Jaden Daniels, to me, is the brightest star going into the future. Now, obviously, I thought the same thing about CJ Stroud. We're going to have to see how the second year goes, but Washington needs to build their team. This is a great opportunity to bolster up their lineup to make their team look a lot better. If there's any time you can take advantage of the situation and compete with the Eagles in the NFC East, now's the time to do it. He's under rookie contract. You can put another receiver around him. You can work on that defense. You can do a lot more to make sure that Washington stays as a threat as they were last year. Washington deserves A tier. Their team is just, it's very good, and it's surprising how quickly they have found a spark. It just took one draft pick to do so. Next up, we have my Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are going to sit in D tier behind San Francisco because despite the fact they had a better record than San Francisco, horrible offseason, a lot of talking, not enough doing. You signed Dak Prescott to an incredible contract, but it might have just been one of the worst contract signings in a while. CeeDee Lamb gets signed to a contract, but now it was very late. You didn't make many moves in the offseason. You didn't help your offense. You brought back Ezekiel Elliott. You could have gotten Saquon. You could have gotten Derrick Henry. You didn't do that. The season starts, and it's just a horror show. Dak Prescott gets injured towards the midway of the year, and then they're still trying to play. Really, the Dallas Cowboys should have a higher pick. They tried not to tank when they should have. And that to me was bothersome because now, despite the fact that we could still get Ashton Genty, I am confused on why the Cowboys operated the way that it shows that Jerry Jones, he can't do it. As long as Jerry Jones is the owner, I really don't believe the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl. And I think that's just very apparent. Most Cowboy fans know that now. So yeah, the Cowboys deserve D tier. You got a new coaching staff. It looks weird. Not much. It doesn't look like it's a big improvement overall. You could have gotten a better head coach. You instead stay in-house to go for an offensive coordinator who I don't even think was used properly this year. So now I'm wondering what the future of the Cowboys is going to look like, and I'm not happy with it. I'm not excited. If we can get Ashton Genty in the draft and maybe get some pieces in free agency, I might be reinvested. I don't think this team is a Super Bowl caliber team going into next year at all. I believe they are very far from that. They're closer to a rebuild than anything else. But we'll see how everything goes. Next up, you have the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, it's just a story of injuries, and now it's a story of drama, because now Tyreek Hill wants to leave. Tua gets injured early on the year with a concussion, of course, and nothing gets done. They fall very behind. A team that I thought was going to win the AFC East ends up falling out of control. They were second place. Yeah, they did better than the Jets, and they did better than the Patriots, but they missed the playoffs. And now you're losing one of your most viable weapons in Tyreek Hill. This team overall is just, it's pretty embarrassing. They are definitely mid C tier. I put them right here. The Bengals, I still believe, are a lot better, but the Dolphins, they missed out on what could have been a big step up year, especially after the way they exited the playoffs the year prior against Kansas City. It didn't look nice. The Miami Dolphins, what do they need to do in the offseason? I think you got to get another weapon. Obviously, Tyreek Hill. Maybe you have to make a big trade with Tyreek Hill to get you somewhere, at least preparing for the future and everything. The Dolphins, they're going to have to do something drastic because this team cannot continue to go just this mid-level, can be very impressive team. You got to do a lot more. Next up, you have the Atlanta Falcons. This team should have made the playoffs. Kirk Cousins started the year off pretty well. A big win against the Eagles. That should have brought a lot of hope. A close loss against Kansas City, a big win against Tampa Bay in overtime. I thought this team had what it took. Tampa Bay lost to them twice. They had the advantage. And then Kirk Cousins spiraled out of control. Michael Penix Jr. had to try to play, cleanup, but obviously it was a bad situation. The Falcons missed the playoffs. I believe Atlanta, though, I'm going to put them behind Indianapolis in the sense that a lot of next year is going to require Michael Penix to take a step forward because he has the pieces around him. He has Drake May. He has Drake London. He has Kyle Pitts. He has Bijan Robinson. He has a great offense. The defense definitely still needs some more work. I'm never satisfied with the Falcons' defense. I always think their defense is overrated. The Falcons, they have a lot of promise. It's just really contingent on if Penix is going to be a big-time player next year. If not, then it's going to be really hard to see where this offense goes. Because you can't really build heavily around Penix. You don't know if he's going to be the future. The scary part is this is a team that they're in a very gray area. They have the opportunity to be great, but we're going to have to keep a real close eye on them next year. Next up, we have the New York Giants. There's no question where this team is going. They're going in F tier. No, they're going in F tier. The Giants had some good games this year. some. I think their only promise is at the wide receiver position with Malik Neighbors, but that's where it basically is. You lost Barkley in the offseason because for some reason you did not prioritize him over Daniel Jones. Jones turned out to be an absolute bust. You cut him towards the end of the year. You don't know where to go with the quarterback position. You're probably going to have to get somebody in the draft or do something. I don't even know where I'd see their market going because they don't have a good front office. They have a good coach. He's not given the right pieces. The Giants, there's something to the effect of having a game changer on your team, or at least a couple of game changers needs to happen. You got to give your coach something to work with. Otherwise, he doesn't really have much to work with at all. It's just a circus show down in New York. The Giants deserve to be F tier. Same deal, though, with the Jets. The Jets also deserve to be F tier because I had a lot of promise with the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers hopefully playing a full year, and it turned out to be an absolute disaster. If you're a Jets fan, I don't know how to feel. I think that F tier, I don't really know where to go with the future. You're going to lose some pieces, and that's just going to be the end-all be-all of it. So F tier is where they belong. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers. Now, everything tells me that this should be an F tier team, but I'm going to put them at D tier because the way they finished off the year, Bryce Young showed some promise. Again, some promise. I do believe that the Panthers might have something to work with in the future. They just signed Andy Dalton to a 2-year deal, so you still have a veteran that is helping Bryce Young grow there. I think that if you're going to go into the draft this year, go into free agency, you got to get him some significant weapon because you lost Deontay Johnson. I don't know if Thielen is going to stay as that big guy. I think you need more to put around. I think your running back core is fine, and of course you got to work on the defense. Bryce Young, it's still not sure what he can do. I think he redeemed himself just a little bit, but next year is going to be a big year. He needs to make some big improvements quickly. The Panthers are just going to escape F tier on the basis of promise, and that's because otherwise they are an F tier team. But because of the promise towards the end of the year, playing close against certain opponents, even almost beating the Eagles at one point, the Panthers, I think, are okay to be in D tier for now. Next up, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers are definitely C tier. I'm going to put them behind the Broncos on the basis that it's not even clear where you're going to go with the quarterback position. You're talking about bringing Aaron Rodgers in. You have Justin Fields. I think you should try using him as the starting quarterback for this next year and to see what happens, because I thought he did pretty well when he was playing. I think there's promise there. I think he has to work a little bit, but you're also losing some offensive pieces. I don't think George Pickens is staying. I do believe you're keeping your running back core intact, so that's nice. Your O-line, maybe you want to work on it just a little bit, I guess. The defense is still really good, so I don't think there's much improvement there. It's really just going to have to come down to who's going to be the man in charge, because I think Russell Wilson's on the way out. I think George Pickens is going to be on the way out. What do you have to do in the offseason? Can you get a weapon for Justin Fields if he is going to be your starter, or whoever your quarterback is going to be? I believe that I think they should go into free agency and try picking up a wide receiver. My biggest bet is they should try doing something with Miami. That's just where I would see it. Next up, you have the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are going to find themselves an F tier because, come on. You have Trevor Lawrence. You have a pretty good. You have ETN. Brian Thomas was pretty nice. Christian Kirk is still pretty good. You have so much promise. Evan Ingram. You fired your head coach. You fired your general manager. It's just an awful year, and there's so much promise. They should have been competing pretty well with the Houston Texans. I don't know why they're not, but it's frustrating. I think that the Jaguars have so much promise on offense. Their defense definitely does still need some work. Like, get some big pieces to be around some of your big upfront defenders. Maybe get something better at the secondary. But the Jaguars sit an F. They have promise. Trevor Lawrence doesn't need to get it back, though, because he's lost it just a little bit. But I think that the Jaguars deserve F tier, but can look forward to next year. Maybe you get some better pieces. Who knows? Next up, you have the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, I think, are going to be the team that leads the C tier. For a while, I had this team as a top 10 team overall, but they finished the year off kind of wonky. Jordan Love, I don't think he played as great as a year as I thought he could. He still did pretty well. He definitely did better than CJ Stroud, in my opinion. Jordan Love, I think his team, what they need to do is get him some better weaponry. You have a pretty good running back in Josh Jacobs, but you got to give him some better receivers. I think his receivers took a step down. And then that defense still needs some work. I mean, come on. This defense has some stars, and they don't really show them out the way they need to. They have a lot of promise. They're definitely still up there in the NFC North to battle with Detroit and Minnesota. But work on the offseason, get something for Jordan Love. Maybe you got to go back for Devontae Adams. He said he might want a reunion with Green Bay. I'd say take it. Yeah, but definitely keep working on getting Jordan Love the pieces he needs, because I think he is the franchise quarterback for the future. Next up, you have Baltimore. Baltimore deserves the A-tier method. Baltimore definitely deserves an A-tier mention. They have a really good backfield. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry did go off this year. I mean, Lamar Jackson finished second in the MVP race. Lamar Jackson is such a great promise, but he can never get it done in the playoffs. That's just the frustrating matter. Now, it wasn't his fault that they lost against the Bills. Really, that 2-point conversion should have happened. The fact that it didn't, that sucks for them. But the Ravens, in the offseason, here's what I want to see Baltimore do. Get another primetime defender. I don't know what position you get him, but you also need to get another receiver. I don't know if Zay Flowers is good enough to stay as number one. I'd say you got to bring in somebody else. I think that in the tight end position, you're gonna deal with Likely. He's probably gonna be your tight end for the future. You want to keep Derrick Henry, obviously. It's just a wide receiver and a primetime defender, and that's where I would leave it for the Ravens to improve. But A tier is still a nice place for them. Next up, you have the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a team that definitely deserves the F tier mention, even behind the New York Jets. But the Raiders need to be the most aggressive in the offseason, because unfortunately for them, they're in a division with the Super Bowl contenders, the 4-time champion Kansas City Chiefs. And they are 4-time champions if you count Super Bowl 4. You still have Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs team there. You got the Chargers, who are on the way up. Broncos team that's probably going to be very aggressive in the offseason. And what I'm saying is that this draft is probably going to be very important. You need to get your future quarterback. I'd say you got to make an aggressive move. And I have something in mind, but I'm not going to release in this episode. It may be just something later, but they have to be ultimately aggressive. And so the Raiders have some pieces to work with. Obviously, Brock Bowers was nice on offense. Crosby might be on the way out, though. So you need to bring in some kind of spark for this Raiders team. And if you can't, well, you're in a lot of danger to just be left behind in the AFC West. Next up, you have the Detroit Lions. I mean, there's no question where the Lions go. They're definitely A tier, but what a depressing end to the year. Really, a lot of their struggles come down to the fact that injuries plagued them. Aiden Hutchinson was out for the majority of the year after the Cowboys game, and they lost David Montgomery, so they didn't have the pieces needed to face off against Washington the way that we thought they were going to. I thought they were going to beat Washington and make their way to the NFC Championship. Instead, they lost, and the Eagles ended up getting the biggest opportunity possible. The Lions, they have such a great coach. They lost their they lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator, so they lost both of their coordinators. I believe that the Lions sit in a very weird position. What do you have to do in the offseason? Well, you definitely need to find some pieces for coordination because you have great talent. I think Goff is a great quarterback for them. I believe that you have a great running back core, a great wide receiver core. Really, there's not much problems on offense. Maybe work on the offensive line. Who knows? Defense, definitely get some pieces to go around. You have great defenders. Use them as well. I think the draft can be a contingent place for them. Definitely get some more pieces in the offseason. I don't know where they would go, but there's still a chance they can make something big happen. So the Lions sit at A tier. Campbell's a great coach, but there's a lot of concerns there, especially around coordination. We'll see what happens. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks, a team that just constantly sits in limbo, and I don't know what to feel about them. I'll put them there for now. I believe that the Seahawks overall are a team that has the talent. Do they have the quarterback in position? Is Geno really the guy? I don't know. He's okay with Seattle, but overall, I think that you might need to start thinking about parting ways with him because you have so much talent. You have Walker, you have Metcalf, you have Lockett, you have Jackson. You have a great offense ahead of you, but I don't know if Geno's the guy, and he's also dealing with some injury bugs as of recently, and the defense still needs some work on it. They sit in C tier on the premise that they were close to the playoffs, but they're not impressive enough to me. Seattle needs to work on certain places because I think that their team is really close to being like a super contender. Maybe if you got a new quarterback. I don't know why Geno's still the future for there, but we'll see. Seattle needs something big in this offseason if they want to take the leap back into the playoffs. Next up, you have the New England Patriots. The Patriots are a team that I'm going to put above the New York Giants in the sense that I don't think they were embarrassing. I thought they were going to be bad this year. I don't know if Drake May is the future. You might need to get him a weapon to actually see if he is worth it. Coaching is just a question mark for this. There's just too many question marks with New England. They sit at F tier because I don't know what their direction for the future is. It seems like they're trying to figure out if Drake May is that guy, but you got to figure it out this year and hopefully get him a weapon to make him a better quarterback. But also, they sit at F tier. I don't have much to say about them. Next up, we have the Saints. Despite the fact that the Saints and the Panthers were practically the same, I put them at F tier because I saw a promising team at the beginning of the year that blew up on Carolina and Dallas. And then after Philadelphia, fell apart. I don't know what happened. I know they dealt with some injury this year. Obviously, they lost their second best receiver in Shaheed. And then, of course, their quarterback, Derek Carr. I don't know if he is really the guy for the future. They may need to be looking at a quarterback in the draft. Who knows? I think the Saints, though, they have some promise. They just got Kellen Moore as their head coach. We'll see what happens with them. But a few places you're going to have to take a real hard look at if you want to see this team compete once more in the NFC South. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams definitely deserve to be up here in the, if it allow me, the Rams definitely deserve a B tier nod because, I mean, they got as far as the divisional round. They almost beat the Eagles. I mean, if they could have converted, that would have been insane. The Rams were close. They were so close to being able to host the NFC Championship game. That would have been amazing for them. They didn't, and now the biggest question mark is Cooper Kupp. It looks like he's on his way out. So what needs to happen is what are you going to do with the offense? Because Matthew Stafford's not going to be there for much longer. We all know this. He's much older now. Puka Nacua, great talent. You don't want to waste him. Kyron Williams is a great talent. You don't want to waste him either. And you still need to work on your defense. Is it potentially getting a lot of compensation for Cooper Kupp? I don't know. I think that you have to have something to replace him and so that this offense doesn't lose its mark because it's right there. It's right there. They can definitely do it. Next up, we have the Houston Texans. They made it as far as the AFC divisional round, lost to the Chiefs. A very controversial game overall, but still, they lost to the Chiefs. Stroud took a step backwards. He was really impressive the year prior. I don't know what happened to him. Nico had time lost. Tank Dell had time lost. If this core can stay healthy, are the Texans a ginormous threat in the AFC? I still think they can be. But we're just going to have to wait and see. I think where you're going to want to move in the offseason is probably working on the defense in some capacity, maybe even patching up some places in the offensive line, because I didn't think they did well against Kansas City. The Texans are B tier. There's just a lot of question marks there. Next up, you got the Tennessee Titans, who are the worst team in the NFL. They're going to have the number 1 overall pick. I think I know what they're going to do with that. What do the Titans get overall? It's probably a quarterback. Because Will Levis, to me, doesn't seem like the future. He can be impressive from time to time. He looks like he has a lot of spirit. But to me, the Titans haven't had that significant quarterback in a long while. They've always kind of worked around it with players like Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, but they're gone now. So what are you going to do with a Calvin Ridley, who is probably not going to be there next year? Who knows? He tends to move around a lot now. I believe that there's just Tennessee, you got to start at the quarterback position, and hopefully you can find something there. Just something. Who knows? I think that the Titans have a shot at being very successful if they can get the right pieces for it, because they do have some talent. But until then, they're the worst team in the NFL. Next up, we have the Vikings, who were probably one of the more shocking teams. They deserve the B tier mention because Sam Darnold put them to a 14-3 record, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Rams. He looked awful. The reason why they're also much higher on B tier is because they have promise with J.J. McCarthy. I think he's going to start next year and be the future. I think that McCarthy is going to be exactly what Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, all those players need. someone young, someone the future, and their defense doesn't really have much it needs to improve on. You can definitely go to certain places with them, but I think the Vikings are in a great spot. It's just we're going to see how next year. I think they're going to be a pretty exciting team next year. And then lastly, the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, are the A-plus team of them all. If it is okay, seriously? Come on, thank you. The Eagles are definitely an A-plus team. I mean, there's no question about it. What Philadelphia did this year is just so impressive. They built for 5 years. They've been building this roster up. From drafting Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith in back-to-back drafts, and then you got A.J. Brown in the offseason, and then prior to this previous offseason, which you got Saquon Barkley, Quinion Mitchell in the draft, Cooper DeJean in the draft. You know, the year prior, you got Jalen Carter. They just built such a dominant team. Howie Roseman has built this team up incredibly. There's no way to go about it. This team has been built with such talent, and really it just came down: can the coaching, can they break through? Can Jalen Hurts get back to where he was 2 years ago? And they did. They managed to get to the big game. They started the year off rough though. They went 2-2 with losses to the Falcons and the Buccaneers, and then after that, they had times in which they were shabby. They weren't playing great, but they only lost one game in what was it, like the next 16 or 17 games. It was incredible. They played great, and I'm very impressed with them. I don't like them. I didn't want to believe that this team was good enough to win the Super Bowl, but they did. So I have to be incredibly impressed with what they do. Where they go in the offseason, there's not much you can improve on. Maybe the offensive line. I'd say you can have some improvement there, especially on the interior side, and maybe the linebacker core, but that's about it. There's not else to do except for obviously looking for an offensive coordinator because Kellen Moore is gone. The Eagles, they did great. They're a two-time Super Bowl champion, and it's interesting to see how they're viewed next season. Are they the favorites to go back and win the Super Bowl? Do you believe somebody in the NFC is going to be better than them? There's just a lot of things that can happen. I think Howie Roseman needs to keep his foot on the pedal, though. Don't get too comfortable with what you have. Continue to improve and see what this Eagle team can achieve, because they can start to make a dynasty of their own. They have the team to do so. They just better get to it and continue to keep this roster intact. If they do, this Eagle team is going to be dominant for a very long while. And that'll do it for today's episode. Again, I kind of moved a little quicker in this episode because I had a recording that did not work out. So this was my second recording of it. And I'm thankful that you guys supported me throughout all of season 2, just helping me grow, especially here on YouTube, just getting closer and closer to 100,000 views. That's kind of where the goal is now, to reach that big milestone and to continue to grow in subscriber count, continue to grow the audience. And if you guys haven't already, please subscribe and go follow me on all my social medias, as I tend to post there very often. If you want to talk with me on social media, that's kind of where I like to interact, and in YouTube Shorts, of course. So thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the rest of season 3. Obviously, episode 2 is to come out next week. I hope you guys are excited for this season as I am. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and goodbye.